Shanxi, a place of over 2,430 years of history, and in the middle reaches of the Yellow River, has a long history and a long potential of human reaches. This is a place full of history and full of different things that we can discover and we can know. Now let's start our journey in the very basic and not that modern places over 30 million years ago. Imagine what that would be. So let's move on. 3 million years ago, we have the most basic, the blue-type people, and then we're moving on to the Beijing people and then the Nanjing people. And we see that over this 80 years of development, a lot of things had happened. Look at the schools. For this, you have like a concave jaw and a flat head. Now moving on, we see that there are more curved foreheads, more like modern people. And then we move on to the Ding village people, where we'll be talking about right there. And then there are the people of 100,000 years ago, which is still a long time. But they have really developed, and then their skulls are now very similar to ours. And for the 100,000 year ago people, they have already developed the brains about the same size as us. Now, let's first go on here, where we see a lot of different things. So, what we see in this animal skull that these people have already gotten the ability to be using natural fires and cooking their food. From these antelope ears, we see that they have already known how to use rocks and sculpt on them. For these rocks, we see that they know how to use rocks to kill, to scrape, to sculpture. Now let's move on to the deep trade. As you can see, they don't have a lot of clothes, although it's actually not that obvious to be seen right here in this channel setting. They are only using rocks to try to make a fire, and then mostly their foreheads are still pretty flat. As we can see, they're still using raw food in order to be surviving. And let's take a look at what they have been using in here. So at the start, we basically see that there are a lot of teeth right here from all those fossils, and these are the cutters of their time. They use these to scrape out the hide, and it takes a long time. How do they kill? They have wooden spears, but mostly they're going to be using these balls. I like round stuff, so these are pretty round, great. They use these not just to play around, bounce around, but in another hand to throw. So these will be used to be chucked at the animals and killing them right on the spot if they hit directly, but the chances are really low, meaning that the human survival is also really low. Now let's move on to slightly more civilized people. So here, as we can see, they already have a lot of stone plates, stone rubbers to go out the hides, and then there are a lot of teeth here. There's also much better choppers and ashers and also knives. So let's look at them. So as we can see, they stopped using natural fires and they can make fires themselves right now. And then they learn how to cook meat. So this is the reason why people like barbecue now, because they are actually eating barbecue a few million years ago. As we can see, these people have developed the same size brains as us, and the foreheads are slightly rounder. Also, they are using better weapons, and also they have clothes and not just sort of underwear-ish leaf clothes, which are much better since they're made out of hides and they have fires to keep themselves warm. Now let's move on. When they have full plantation and then full resources, they get to move on to cultural civilizations, to pottery. But don't look at that now. Let's look at this. First, what does pottery mean? Pottery means that they have enough resources and they will be able to stay at one place and live because they have planting, they have seeds, they have bread, a lot of stuff. Look at them. Their stone usage are slightly rounder, and then the first signs of pottery has been already there. However, this is very basic, and then they mostly just use shards of mud together. They don't have any sort or sign of cultural heritage or decorations on them because they're really basic. Now let's move on to the Middle Ages. Now they have, well, basically they just draw on these, but they still look good, and they have this kind that can boom on people. You might have a question. All these pots, they have these decorations on the top bit, but not on the bottom bit. Why is that? Because normally what they use is they get these pots and they boom them down right into the earth, meaning that the bottom half wouldn't be needing that much decoration since people don't even see them. Why do them then? Now let's move on to the basic weaponaries that they have been using. There are a lot of teeth decorations that have been going on times for now sewing. As we can see, there are bones made to go into sewing kits, meaning that they're going to be getting better hide clothes. And then we also have the bone spear used to throw at animals to get food, and that's a much better weapon than just throwing stones at them. So now let's move on to the best piece of pottery and a boom to the entire setting. This is the dragon hide, which we can also see right here, which doesn't really look like it, but it's very new to them, and it's a really great development in their pottery sign. And as we can see, here is the house sites, and we see that a lot of them has been already very developed and very big. Now let's look at their observatory. So there are 13 stakes or 13 pillars, but these are not the basic use. These people learn how to observe the universe, observe the sun through the little cracks between the pillars, meaning that they'll be having a better idea on the sun and the internal world. Moving on to the 24 climate changes in the world. So now we see in the pottery right here that they're much more detailed. Now let's look at one of the most featured pottery shards that we have, and this is the pottery flasks character in red pigment. They have already known how to use these red pigments to draw these shards, and we see pictures of animals and humans that are quite basic, but still another great development, a great step. So we see that now that they have already had all these developments. Here, after I step from this line to the others, after this small step, we'll be taking a gigantic development from the basics to the Xia dynasty. So let's take the step gingerly. Do not slide right here. So in the 21st BC, Xia is a really important dynasty here, and we see a lot of developments. So let's start with rebuilding. This is basically their genealogical place here. And then we have a lot of capitals right here, a lot of places that you might want to go if you're actually here in Shanxi. So now let's move on to another pottery. So as we can see, now they do not have these little places in order to show them like a bowl. They instead have 3 little legs. Mostly here, as you can see, they're all 3-legged things in order to make them have a better stand on here. As you can see, Xia's pottery mainly just has these 3-legged bottoms. And these are actually quite weird in some psychologists' minds, but these are a great improvement. Now we have the first thing made out of bronze. So carefully look at this. We have a Tao Ti here. So as you can see, the big globs right here are the eyes, and then there are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of detailed lines of this animal and this beast. This thing, as we know, has a little personal identification of its own, since it has 9 words directly inside, and it is really such as a ID or a visa, if you can imagine it in modern life. So as we can see, as we go on the pottery and the things, it's still just basically 3 legs. Now let's go on to the next gigantic boom inside this. This is a wine flask, or a 寿星公. Now this thing is used for putting wine inside and pouring it into different flasks, as we can see right there. So this, as we can see, zoom in. There are a lot of detailed lines in it showing how hard they have sculpture on it, and it's already really important. And this thing has shapes of 5, and it has molded into a thing of the really important bronze development. As we can see, as we go on the back side here, there are 2 goats. One is upper, and the one lower on its tush has a ton going out, also used as the handle of the wine flask, and making it like a gigantic improvement in bronze history. So now, let's go on to the owl. This is a figurative language, and we can see basically the entire 3D flask of it. Let's look. So both sides, they'll be having a owl face on it, and we call this the scary bird because no matter which side you are on, you always see a little owl right here, which makes it actually a bit weird. Now let's move on to the real bronze sculpture. This is a really important thing in also bronze history, and it has been named as one that will never be able to be going out of this place because it is too important. Now let's move on to this one, which looks cute, like a SpongeBob but with a sausage. This one's also used for wine and the lid on top. So basically, this is used to be burning the wine. And as we can see, there are a bunch of holes on the top in which string can go through them, dangling it from the ceiling in order to get it cooked. So now there is actually a pot, a bronze pot that will be able to be cooking the wine. Now let's be moving on into the end. And as we can see, human civilization has grown a lot. When we started off as these basic humans, we see how much they have developed, starting from getting themselves cooked food, a barbecue, and now we moved on into pottery, detailed pottery with decorations, and to bronze, and to very detailed bronze. And hopefully you'll be enjoying this when you come, and always remember the wisdom, the beauty, and the history of human life. See you.